Write down applications of Henry's law. Applications of Henry's law. So Henry's law has three important applications. One, in carbonated beverages. Two, in deep sea diving. Henry's law also has important in deep sea diving. And third application is high altitude sickness. Okay, so these are the three applications. So we have in NCERT syllabus. Okay, listen first. So first one is how Henry law is applicable in carbonated and in the manufacture of carbonated beverages. So what are the carbonated beverages? Soft drinks, all the cool drinks, even soda, water, etc. Right. See, in carbonated beverages, to increase the concentration of carbon dioxide, in carbonated beverages, so carbon dioxide is passed with high pressure. Yes or no? So if you take, it is a vessel, carbonated or bottle, right? So which is containing water and sugar. What they passed? CO2. So therefore CO2 gas will be passed with high pressure, and at high pressure this bottle will be sealed. So what is the purpose? When pressure of the CO2 is directly proportional to PCO2, directly proportional to what? XCO2. That means if the gas, carbon dioxide gas is passed with high pressure, which is more soluble in water. That is a application of Henry's law. Therefore in carbonated beverages, to increase the concentration of carbon dioxide in soda water or soft drinks, so these containers are sealed under high pressure. As a result, when the containers are sealed under high pressure, what happens? The carbon dioxide is more soluble in water. So that is also one application of Henry's law. So PCO2 directly proportional to XCO2. That's what last class also I told you one example. Roadside soda bottles. Okay, you might have seen. Ready made, they prepare the soda water, right? So they carry the gas cylinder, that is a CO2, right? So and in soda bottle they take water and salt or sugar, and they allow to pass the CO2 gas with the machine. Then CO2 gas comes with high pressure, right? It means when CO2 gas is passed with high pressure, so which is more soluble in soda water, that is nothing but soft drink. So this is the application of Henry's law. So that is in carbonated beverages. Next, second application, in deep sea diving. So how this Henry's law is applicable in deep sea diving? You know, generally deep sea divers, that is sea divers, they carry the gas cylinder. You might have seen in Discovery channels and all. Okay, they carry the gas cylinder and mask will be there, gas mask, right? So that gas cylinder usually contains oxygen plus nitrogen, the mixture of nitrogen plus oxygen, because you know in atmosphere we feel that we are taking oxygen, but indirectly along with oxygen we are taking nitrogen is more, because the quantity of nitrogen is more, no? 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen. So that what? Nitrogen we take more quantity compared to oxygen. So therefore to make natural atmosphere, so oxygen is mixed with nitrogen. Okay. Now the problem is when sea divers goes to deep. So when the sea divers goes to deep, the pressure is increases under deep. When pressure increases, this of course oxygen soluble, no problem. along with oxygen, this nitrogen soluble in blood, which is soluble in blood. Even though nitrogen soluble in blood, not a problem, because nitrogen is inert. It's almost, it is inert. It does not react with any other components. So when nitrogen dissolved, it is inert. It is doesn't harmful to blood. But the problem is when C diverse comes to surface. When the C diverse comes to surface, partial pressure is decreases. When the partial pressure decreases, the whatever the nitrogen dissolved in blood, that is releases in the form of what? It releases in the form of gas. So that gas blocks the blood capillaries. If there is a blood capillaries, so that gas, it forms the bubbles actually. Yeah, it forms the bubbles. Those bubbles blocks the blood capillaries. So that condition is called, these bends are called, these bubbles are called what? Bends. So these bends are painful and they are actually dangerous. Okay. So therefore here also, so what is the application used? Henry's law application. Okay, because partial pressure is, when deep C diverse goes to deep, when the C diverse goes to deep, partial pressure is increases. When the partial pressure increases, along with oxygen, nitrogen is dissolved. That means P is directly proportional to solubility. Partial pressure directly proportional to solubility. But when the C diverse comes to surface, the partial pressure is decreases. Then whatever the nitrogen soluble, that is again releases in the form of gas. Those gas forms the gas bubbles. Those bubbles block the blood capillaries. So that condition is called bend. That bends are painful and dangerous. So this is also application of Henry's law. So third one is high altitude sickness. So we all know that usually when you go high altitude, what happen? At high altitude, the partial pressure of oxygen is less. Obviously, right? Even pressure also less. Of course, partial pressure or availability of oxygen is less. So availability of oxygen is less at high altitude. That is nothing but the partial pressure of oxygen is less at high altitude. So therefore, usually mountain climbers and the people who are living at high altitude, okay, so they are unable to think clearly because of what? Less availability of oxygen. So they are unable to think clearly, and that condition is called anoxia. Anoxia. Okay, so this is also one of the application of Henry's law. Next, even you can take one more example, the oxygen exchange in lungs. Okay, so when you take breathing, so where the oxygen goes? In lungs. In lungs there is an exchange of oxygen, right? So in lungs oxygen is contact with the blood, hemoglobin. Therefore there the partial pressure of oxygen is more in blood, more in lungs. That's what in lungs oxygen combined with hemoglobin, it form oxyhemoglobin. That oxyhemoglobin carried to what? Cells and tissues and all. Okay, there in cells the availability of oxygen is less. That means their partial pressure is less. So therefore at less partial pressure it is disconnect oxygen in hemoglobin and oxygen is given to cells and all. That process takes place. Okay, so therefore the carrying oxygen from lungs to again cells and also again it is based on Henry's law. Okay, so these are the importance of Henry's law. Clear? Okay, take down. Okay, concept of vapor pressure. See here, now here in this topic we have actually directly vapor pressure. What is vapor pressure and its applications? But in first piece you have studied what is vaporization, what is rate of vaporization, what is condensation, what is the rate of condensation. These concepts we have studied in first PUC, gaseous state. Okay, so anyhow those concepts are related to this. That's what we will study here. So therefore let us study first what is the evaporation or vaporization. Tell me anybody, what is vaporization or evaporation? So vaporization is It is the process of conversion of liquid state into vapor state. So therefore, the process of conversion of liquid state into vapor state is called vaporization or evaporation. Can you tell me example? Let us take a water in a beaker. Okay, and take the water in a beaker and heat it. So tell me, when you heat the water, what happened? So it's here on surface, usually surface water molecule easily undergo vaporization. They convert, right? They convert into what? Vapor molecules. Okay, of course vapor molecule again condense, they form liquid molecule. So but the process of conversion of liquid molecule into vapor molecule is nothing but vaporization. Therefore conversion of liquid into vapor, that is steam, vapor state, vapor water, that is a vaporization, right? Next, then what is yeah, this vaporization is whether endothermic or exothermic, whether it require heat or heat energy released. It require heat, no. When water convert into steam, vapor, it is taking energy, heat energy, right? So therefore the vaporization process is always endothermic process. It is endothermic because heat energy is required, and moreover this endothermic process can be explained by kinetic molecular theory. So it can be explained by kinetic molecular theory. These things we have in first PUC. Okay, we are studying the first PUC concepts, no problem. Okay, right. So kinetic molecular theory. So tell me. No, the conversion of water into steam, it require heat energy, no? Then later steam again release energy, that's okay. We don't want that. The process of conversion of liquid into vapor, it is a endothermic process, heat energy is required. Now, so how heat energy required? It can be explained by molecular theory, kinetic molecular theory. So what kinetic molecular theory says? See, according to kinetic molecular theory, in liquid molecule, all the liquid molecules are held together by the force of attraction. For example, if you take this all liquid molecule in a beaker, right? So these liquid molecules are held together by which kind of force of attraction? They are different, but they have force of attraction. Okay, next there, and moreover the liquid molecule present on the surface of the liquid. Let us take, these are the liquid molecule present on the surface. So these surface molecule having kinetic energy, and even bulk molecule also having kinetic energy, but the kinetic energy of the surface molecule is more than the kinetic energy of the bulk molecule. Bulk in the sense the liquid molecule present where? Interior. So this is the liquid molecule in interior, liquid molecules were on surface. So therefore these liquid molecule will have more kinetic energy compared to bulk molecule. So due to more kinetic energy, so these liquid molecules, they overcome the force of attraction, right? They overcome force of attraction, and they can be escape into vapor phase easily. And when they escape into vapor phase, their kinetic energy decreases. As a result, temperature also decreases. So in this way, it is a endothermic process. Okay, tell me. More kinetic energy. Why they have? Okay. Yeah, do you understand first this? What is evaporation? What is evaporation? The process of conversion of liquid state into vapor state. It is a vaporization or evaporation. So this vaporization in generally endothermic process because heat energy is required. Okay, why heat energy is required? The reason is here, it can be explained by this kinetic theory of molecule. So according to kinetic theory, liquid molecule having here, these are the surface molecule, these are interior molecule. So usually surface liquid molecule having more kinetic energy because they have unbalanced forces. Okay, so we will study even surface chemistry also. They have unbalanced forces. What kind of unbalanced forces? You just imagine, if it is a interior molecule, this interior molecule attracted by all the side, no? If there is a one interior molecule, bulk molecule, it is attracted by this molecule, that side molecule, this side molecule, this side molecule. One interior molecule is attracted by all the sides equally. Therefore, the resultant net force is, or net attraction is 0. But whereas if the liquid molecule present on the surface, tell me, if the liquid molecule present on the surface, it is attracted by which molecule? Left side, right side and interior down. So is it attracted by the up molecule? There is no molecule, no. That means, so this surface molecule having some unbalanced forces. Due to unbalanced forces, so their kinetic energy will be more. So since their kinetic energy more, their movement will be more. Okay, therefore, so when you heat it, which molecule easily undergo vaporization? Surface molecule. First surface molecule escape into vapor phase. Okay, because of their unbalanced forces. Right. So therefore, this surface molecule convert into, that is gaseous molecule. So this is a reason that it is a endothermic process. Okay. Next is, what is the rate of evaporation or rate of vaporization? Tell me, what is rate of vaporization? Rate of vaporization is the number of liquid molecule convert into vapor molecule per unit time, isn't it? Per unit time it is. So therefore, it is number of liquid molecules escape from liquid state. The number of liquid molecule escape from the liquid state into vapor state is called rate of vaporization. Okay, so rate is nothing but, of course, no, vapor state per unit time. Liquid state into vapor state per unit time. Time is required, no? Because it is rate. So therefore, the number of liquid molecule escape from the liquid state into vapor state per unit time is called rate of vaporization. If the rate of vaporization is more, it means more number of liquid molecule escape from the liquid state into vapor state per unit time. If the rate of vaporization is less, that means less liquid molecule can escape from the liquid state into vapor state. Okay, that is the meaning of rate of vaporization. But here important is what factors affect the rate of vaporization. So therefore, factors affecting rate of vaporization. Tell me. So which factors affects? One, very good. Before temperature, first nature of liquid. 2, temperature. 3, surface area, not pressure, surface area of liquid. And 4, it is a flow of air current on surface of liquid. It is there in first PUC, gaseous state. Again we will study there. Okay, first one is nature of liquid. Tell me, which liquids have more vapor pressure? So the vapor pressure of volatile liquid, rate of vaporization of volatile liquid is more than non-volatile liquid. So generally volatile liquids will have more rate of vaporization compared to non-volatile liquid. Can you tell me example for volatile liquid? All organic solvents, petrol, diesel, ether, alcohol, these are volatile compared to water, right? So therefore, rate of vaporization of volatile liquid is more than non-volatile liquid. Next, temperature. So what is the relation between temperature and rate of vaporization? Directly proportional. When you heat it, or when you heat the liquid, for example water, when you go on heat the water, obviously vaporization is increases. Therefore, the rate of vaporization also directly proportional to temperature. So more temperature, more rate of vaporization. Next is surface area. Now you just imagine there are two beakers. The beaker having less surface area, one more beaker having more surface area. So where the rate of evaporation is more? So the number of liquid molecule escape into vapor phase is depends on surface area, because more surface area, more number of liquid molecules here available, less surface area, less number of water liquid molecule available. If the surface area increases, more number of liquid molecule escape into vapor phase. Therefore, surface area also directly proportional to rate of vaporization. Next, fourth condition is flow of air current. What is the meaning of flow of air current? See, this is a liquid. On the liquid, you just imagine there is air is flowing. Air is flowing over this liquid. When the flow of air is more, there is nothing but flow of air current is on surface is more. When the flow of air is more, so what happened? These water molecule or liquid molecule, they already having weak forces, unbalanced forces. Due to weak forces, unbalanced forces, so if the air is flow on over this liquid molecule, though these liquid molecule easily converts into vapor. So therefore, the flow of air current on surface of the liquid is also directly proportional to rate of vaporization. Okay, so it is about what is vaporization, rate of vaporization, and these factors. Next is similarly condensation. Condensation. So what is the condensation? It is opposite to the vaporization. In the vaporization, the process of it is a process of conversion of liquid molecule into vapor molecule. That is vaporization. Then condensation is the process of conversion of vapor molecule into what? Liquid molecules. Therefore, the process of conversion of vapor state into liquid state. So the process of conversion of vapor state into liquid state is called it is a condensation. Next is rate of condensation. So rate of condensation similar to rate of vaporization. So what is the rate of vaporization? The number of liquid molecule escaping from the surface of the liquid into vapor state per unit time. Now what is the condensation? Rate of condensation. Here number of vapor molecules converting into liquid state per unit time. So the number of vapor molecules converting into liquid state per unit time is also called rate of condensation. Okay, then but we know that at all temperatures the rate of vaporization and rate of condensation both takes place simultaneously. For example, you take here only, this is a beaker containing water. Okay, so whatever the temperature it may be, at given temperature there is a rate of vaporization and there is a rate of condensation. So both vaporization, condensation takes place simultaneously, but at particular stage the rate of vaporization is equals to rate of condensation, which is called equilibrium, right? So therefore, so suppose if the 10 molecule undergoing vaporization in a 1 second, the same 10 molecule undergo condensation in 1 second. That means the rate of vaporization, rate of condensation takes place simultaneously, okay, with the same rate. Then that stage is called equilibrium. Okay, when equilibrium is attained, if the equilibrium is attained, there is no change in the what? Vapor pressure. The vapor pressure here, P will be there, no? We will study about this later. The vapor pressure remains constant. When remain constant? When there is a equilibrium. Why this P is constant? Because number of molecule going into vapor, number of molecule converting into liquid, it is both same. Therefore, the pressure of the solution or pressure of this vapor remains constant. That is we called vapor pressure. Now we will study what is vapor pressure. So this is the behind our story behind what